Hello dear students, how are you? I hope that all of you are fine. We all know that due to COVID-19 coronavirus, we are all stuck off in our home for a long time. So KBS has started an initiative to take online class. And following this instruction, we have already prepared so many PowerPoint slides and video tutorial to take your class. And your task is to follow our instruction, timely complete your homework and give us feedback. Okay, let's start our class. Firstly, I want to welcome you all to this new session, and I hope that keeping in mind your previous performance, you all give your best effort to make this session successful to achieve highest mark. Okay, so let's start our online class. Firstly, I want to give you a brief description about your Inter 12th class syllabus. Your Inter 12th class syllabus consists of two parts. Firstly, one is theoretical part, another part is practical. The theoretical part has two books, Fundamental of Human Geography and another is India, People and Economy. In Fundamental of Human Geography, there are so many topics like human geography, people, human activities, transport, communication and trade, human settlement, etc. And all these phenomena you have to study with respect to the world. And the same topic you will study in India, People and Economy, but it must be in the context of Indian phenomena. And one thing you have to remember that your geography subject code is 0 to 9. This is very much required for your board exam. Don't forget it. Your geography subject code is 0 to 9. Okay, let's start our first chapter, that is Human Geography, Nature and Scope. Okay. This is your tree map of entire chapter, in which you can see there are different topics like the nature of human geography, their concept, naturalization of humanization of nature, human geography school of thought, different types of thought like welfare thought, radical school of thought, behavioral thought, fields and subfields of human geography, like you have studied in your class 11th first chapter, urban, social, political, etc. I will explain each and every topic in subsequent PowerPoint slide. Okay. So, what is geography? First, you have to recall your previous knowledge from class 11th, in which you have already studied the definition of geography. Okay, tell me the definition of geography. What is geography? We know that geography is a discipline which explains which gives systematic orderly description about each and every object on the earth's surface over space and time. Okay, so what is geography? Geography is a subject which gives a systematic orderly description of each and every object on the earth over space and time. And geography is broadly divided into two parts, physical geography and human geography. Physical geography describes the physical fact, physical phenomena, physical object. Suppose the topography of India, suppose the vegetation cover of Amazon, like climatic phenomena, like different types of landform, etc. But the human geography quite differed from physical geography. Human geography covers all the phenomena related to human activity. And human geography, if we want to define human geography, we can say human geography tries to explain the relationship between physical environment of the earth and the human society or culture, etc. There are different types of definition available in your textbook to define human geography. I recommend you to study all the definition properly. Remember, here In this slide, I have included only two definitions. One is given by Radjel and another one is given by Ellen Churchill Sample. Radjel said that human geography is the synthetic study of relationship between human society and Earth surface. So what I have already explained, that human geography always tries to make a relationship, to explain the relationship man-environment. So here Radjel said the same phenomenon. And the same phenomena also explained by Ellen Churchill Sample in his definition. She explained that human geography is the study of changing relationship between unresting man and unstable earth. Why did she use the term unresting man and unstable earth? Because we know that human is the most active agent which bring about the massive changes in our natural environment, and the unstable earth means our natural environment, our surrounding is not stable. All the phenomena are continuously changing, like climate is continuously changing, like ocean current, like topography, etc. So all the definition explaining the same phenomena. The definition is that human geography is the relationship between man and environment. So there are different types of approach, there are different types of method to explain this relationship, man-environment relationship. One approach is determinism concept. This is also known as naturalization of human. We all know that human in ancient time lived in jungle, in natural environment, like in desert, like in mountainous areas, in cave, and they used to collect and hunting animal to for their livelihood. So in this case, the human were earlier directly dependent on the nature. They collected resource directly from the nature, so they did not make any massive change in the nature. Why? Because at that time there were no cultural progress, there were no scientific development, so that's why human were directly dependent on the nature. So determinism concept explained that nature is the supreme power and human is its slave. Nature is an active agent and human depends on it. Nature controls all activities of man. And who are the supporter? The Radjel, Immanuel Kant, Carl Ritter, etc. Also Ellen Churchill Sample. So this is the oldmost concept which explains the man-environment relationship, in which the geographer focused that nature is the supreme power which controls humans all activity, and humans are bound to follow the natural law. So it is very simple and clear concept. The second concept which also explains the man-environment relationship. We all know that with the passage of time, human has made a significant development in their science, in their cultural progress in the society. So with this progress, they have started to modify their environment. For example, people living in desert area also modified their surrounding areas by digging the canals, by building the dams for irrigation. So earlier they did not know how to dig the canal, they did not know how to build a dam for irrigation, but with the progress of science and development, they started to follow these changes. So in this concept, human modifying the natural environment for their own purpose, creating new resource, and this is the main concept of possibilism. It means there is no necessity, but everywhere is possibility, and human is an active agent, are free in the nature to select these possibilities to fulfill their demand. So here this concept, the possibilism, is different from the determinism. In determinism, the environment is a supreme power, or nature has the supreme power. But in possibilism, human or man is a supreme and nature is his slave. The man is an active agent, where in determinism nature is an active agent. And in possibilism concept, the man controls the nature. There are so many supporters who support this concept, who has explained this concept, like Vidal de Lablache, Jean Bruns, Lucien Febvre, etc. Remember, Vidal de Lablache is also known as the father of human geography. Do not confuse with the father of geography. The father of geography, Hecataeus. The first term geography used by Eratosthenes, and father of human geography, Vidal de Lablache. Vidal de Lablache lived in France. So these are the two concepts which explain the man-environment relationship in two ways. The one concept named determinism, which is also known as naturalization of human, means the nature plays a vital role to control the human or along with the all other animal community, in which nature sets the law and humans are bound to follow this law. But in possibilism, here human with their knowledge, with their scientific progress, with their cultural development, made significant changes in their surrounding environment to create new resources, to modifying the natural phenomena, landscape, etc. So next part is neo-determinism. This is the concept in between the determinism and possibilism. This is given by the Australian geographer Griffith Taylor in 1920s. In previous part you have studied the determinism and possibilism concept, and you know that in both the cases, in one cases nature plays a vital role, but in possibilism concept human plays a vital role. But what Griffith Taylor had tried to explain in neo-determinism, that both human and nature do not influence to each other fully, but instead of it do it partially. Griffith Taylor also called neo-determinism as a stop and go determinism, in which he focused on that. He explained that humans should know their threshold, humans should know their limit, humans should make development for their needs, but it should not be harmful to our environment. That's why he used the term stop and go determinism, that human should know when to stop and when to start their journey, when to go. For an example, you can see we have made significant development in our society, but it also negatively influences our society, like sea level rise, global warming, etc., ice melting, desertification, etc. What is this? It is the ultimate result of our development activity which negatively influence our environment. For this purpose, Griffith Taylor given a particular example. It is like when a man driving his car to reach a certain destination, in which there are different checkposts, traffic signal. So traffic signal cannot change the destination of the driver, but the traffic signal can reduce or increase the speed of his journey. This is the same phenomena we should follow in our society, in our culture. That suppose we are doing something, we can do this, doing something like any project, any dam construction, any bridge construction, any canal construction. We should do this, but we should follow certain rules. It should not be harmful to our environment. So this is the main concept of neo-determinism, in which the Griffith Taylor focused on the middle path of determinism and possibilism. Next, human geography contains lots of sub-discipline. The welfare or humanities school of thought, radical school of thought, behavioral school of thought. All these concepts explain the different view to see our society. For example, welfare or humanistic school of thought explain that or focus on the human well-being, how much people are well in the society. For this purpose, welfare geography focus or welfare geography express that government should expense more money for people's well-being in the society. Government should give compensation or concession to poor people for housing, to provide pure water, healthcare, etc. Then the ultimate well-being can be achieved. So welfare geography is a school of thought under human geography which focus on the people's well-being in our society. For this purpose, this thought advice that government should increase the expenditure on public amenities, public health condition, housing, etc. Radical school of thought also an approach under human geography. It is also influenced by Marxian theory, which also focus on the basic problem of our society. So here is the difference between welfare thought and radical thought. Look at this. Welfare thought focused on the well-being of people, but radical school of thought focused on the basic problem of our society, like poverty, deprivation. Note that the radical school of thought developed in 1960s when there was a war between Vietnam and America. Another concept is behavioral school of thought, which explain the people's perception in their society. Some of the geographers thought that no mathematical equation, no quantitative approach can explain the people's perception in the society. You may know that geography was earlier strongly linked with the mathematical equation. The geographer highly used mathematical equation, quantitative approach, formula to explain the geographical phenomena, object, etc. But later on, the geographer realized that mathematical equation cannot explain the people's perception in the society. So that's why they found alternative approach, that is the behavioral school of thought, which used descriptive technique to explain the people's perception in the society, mental map, ethnicity, race, etc., religion, etc. So behavioral school of thought is a particular approach under human geography which explain the people's perception in the society, their ethnicity, race, religion, their cultural phenomena in descriptive way. Next, here is a table which explains that how human geography was developed over different period of time. Here the period is divided into different categories: colonial period, late colonial period, 1930s, 1950s, 1970s, 1990s. Different types of approach was developed in different period and their broad features. First of all, colonial period. You know that colonization was started in 1500th century. At that time, the French sailor, the British sailor, traders tried to discover new land to make their colonization. For an example, Vasco da Gama in 1498 discovered the path to reach India, Calicut port. So at that time in colonial period, the approaches was followed like exploration and description. Here, look at this imperial. Imperial means anything related to royal family. Here, the British royal family. The imperial and trade interest prompted the discovery, exploration of new areas. And encyclopedia descriptions of areas formed an important aspect of the geographer's account. So, at that time in colonial period, geographer follow the descriptive method about different region. They discover different new land and give a description their resource, their vegetation, their people, etc. In late colonial period, regional approach was introduced in human geography. What is regional approach? You have already studied two approach in class 11 in geography. That is regional approach and systematic approach. In regional approach, we include all the phenomena like climate, soil, vegetation, human, whatever, economics at a time as a whole to understand the overall phenomena of that region. In 1930s, when the World War II broke out, the areal differentiation was introduced. Areal differentiation. What is areal differentiation? Areal differentiation means which thing make a land unique, or it is an approach which tries to find the uniqueness of a particular region. Areal differentiation is a term first used by Richard Hudson in 1930 in his book Nature of Geography. Once again, I explain. Areal differentiation means each and every region are differ from each other due to its unique character. For example, Middle East region is characterized by petroleum.